This
So any
conference will now be
questions
recorded.
from yesterday's session? Any doubts, any questions?
No.
Okay. Um, so you guys were able to create an instance in AWS, I hope. Like if you don't have any questions, then were you able to launch an instance and connect via PuTTY or from your MacBooks? Or you ready to try that, I guess, maybe. All right. If you don't have any questions, then let's continue the topic for today. So we'll connect to AWS cloud we have seen. We'll go with the Google Cloud now. It's the same process here. So you sign up for the Google Cloud Console and go and type in like Google Cloud uh, free trial. Okay. So this is the option you'll get. Try Google Cloud platform free $300. Okay. So you can select this and get started with signing up. So you need to provide your Gmail and the credit card details. Let me show that how it can be done. Okay. So this is how you can see that it is $300 free credit. Go to console and you can log in, sign up for this, and once you sign up, you'll be able to see this screen. Okay, so right now for me the free trial has been over here. Let's see if I can connect. So I need to also create a new account to get to work with that, or I can let me see. This is the first project. Okay, so looks like I need to create a new account because the free trial has been over. If I continue using it, I need to pay for the instances. So that's what I don't need. Maybe I need to create a new account, and we will go through this exercise of creating a virtual machine in Google Cloud later on. Okay, so but we'll continue with learning more about AWS part. We'll go to EC2 instances, go to running instances again. Okay. I'll select this IP address and we'll connect to this via PuTTY. You can say this. It's failing because I haven't given the key there. So let me provide the key. Okay. So let's look at some of the basic commands in Linux that we need to know. You might be familiar like creating a directory, copying files, moving files, renaming the files, and then editing editing a file and saving the file. So those kind of commands which are important in day-to-day activities where we use them. So we look at those commands. So the first one um, is a list. Okay, there's nothing to list here, or you can go with the pwd. It will show the current working directory. Pwd show the current working directory. If I go with the list -el, there's no files currently available here. If I go with la, it will list all the files starting with the dot as well. So let's create a file. Um, just like in Windows, we have the notepad editors, Word, and other things. In Ubuntu, we have an editor called as a Vim editor. It's called as a Vim. So this is where we can edit a file in Ubuntu or the Linux machines. There are other editors also like nano editors and specifically there are many others available in the market, but the most popular one is the Vim editor, VI editor. So here basically if you want to exit a file, you go with :Q. You want to save, you can go with a -W exclamation. So we'll see that in the moment. Okay, so we'll go with the VI editor and create a file. Let's say a test file. Okay, so now you're in the file here. This is a new file that is created with the name as test file. Now, in order to start editing in this file, we have to go in a mode where we can start writing. So for that, we type in I here. So automatically this is changed in this on insert mode, where you can say this is you can start typing here. This is a test file. Okay, so you can keep on adding here details, and once you're done typing, you go with the escape option, and to save this file, we go with :WQ exclamation. Now this file is saved. So let me see that file now. You can see that file has been added here. Okay. Another interesting part is we need to understand what these permissions are right here. So let's take a moment to understand what it is. I'll go to a notepad and just break this down into um, three. Actually, there is three categories here. So we'll try to understand. The first one is for the root user, and then next we have that is for the groups. And third one is the users that we have. This is the basic read write permissions. Like R stands for read, W for the write access, and execute, we go with the execute options. Execute is basically required when there are some scripts you want to run it. You don't want to give the read write access, you just want to give them the execute access. So that time we go with this option. Okay, and internally in Linux, this is given a value of 4, this is given a value of 2, and this is given a value of 1. Okay, so 4 to 1. So right now if we want to decode this, so this value will be like 6, 6 and 4. So this is what we call as a file permissions. Just a moment, getting a call. Okay, sorry, I got a call urgently. I had to pick it up. Anyways. So, okay, so this is what we call as a file permissions here. And anytime we want to change a permission of the file, we go with the command called as change mod and give the values. So you need to provide these values in this format. Let's say I want to give read, write, and execute permissions for all the three different categories like root user. Root user is like the admin user of this Linux machine. Like we have administrator user in Windows machine, right? Similarly, root is having the superpower. He is the administrator of that Linux machine. So in all the organizations, we will not be getting the root user. We'll be not getting the root user access. So an user will be created, and then we will be given like an elevated access we can provide. That is possible by providing him a sudo access. We'll come to what is a sudo access, but root is the admin, and groups will have a certain groups of users. Like when we install an application, by default it creates a group, and that user is also created for that group. Okay, and then we have users, the normal users we create and we log in the machine, right? Like say for example, Ubuntu is one of the user who is logged in here. Okay, now let's say I want to change the permissions with giving read write for root, read write execute, for group also read write execute, and for users only read and execute permissions. Okay, so how do I change it? Okay, so basically I'm looking at a number like 7, 7, and 5. Okay, so if you put it back in this format, it will be read write execute. For the root, groups also will have the read write execute, and for the users, I just write it down here like this. So read and write and execute. For the group also read write execute, and for the users also it will be read and dash and execute, right? So let's go and change the permission with this command. I'll say change mod. Let me disconnected. I need to connect it back. Gets connected. So let me go and clear this, right? And I go in the command change mod 775. I give the file name test file. It has been changed. Again, I go back and check that. You can see that the color has been changed here. Along with that, the read, write, execute options also has been changed for this file. Now, this file permissions is very important and very basic to Linux. So that's why we need to understand what this means. And there is one more thing you can see here. Somewhere there's a you can see D has been written here along with the beginning. D has been written, and somewhere it is dash. What that means is if it is a D at the very beginning, right, the very beginning. So let me write it down here. So if it is a D, it means it is a directory, because we don't have any option to recognize whether it's a directory or a file, right? So D is a directory, dash simply means it is a file system. So it can be any file, it can be a script, or it's a text file, or any kind of file. So it starts with the dash here. Okay, so if I just go back, you can see wherever there is a directory, it is showing with a D here, and that's how we recognize whether it's a directory or a file. Now let's go and create a directory with the command mkdir and say um, let's say project. We'll create a DevOps project directory with mkdir, and if I go here and you'll see that this DevOps directory is created. This is how the option will be. You can see D is being written there. Okay. Now I want to move on. I want to change the directory with the command like cd and go with the DevOps. So therein I'll be changing the directory here. So immediately you can see that I'm into the directory. You can type in the pwd command to see this is the path, and now I can keep on adding the file here. There's one more command like a touch command just to add the file. You're not going to edit anything, or you're not going to just creating the file and keeping it. So I can just go and say test1.txt. So it will create a file here. It's an empty file is being created here. Okay. So any questions so far? Um, I guess everybody is using Linux for the first time, so it might seem little, but you need to practice all these commands. I have a list which you can refer to. Um, think let me find that for you guys. I think I have a document somewhere. Next, Linux commands. So this will be helpful. Okay. So this, I'll be sharing this document with you guys. So with this, you can just go through all the commands. The file related commands are here, and it is given in the explanation as to what it is doing here, right? ls, it lists all the directory there. It will change the directory, change the password, and things like that. Okay. Okay. Let's run some of these commands. Like cat command, we'll be usually using it. So let's go and run that command. So let's edit the file that we have created, test1.txt. Say welcome to DevOps. I'll save this one now. And now if I want to display the contents of this file, I simply go with the cat command and give the file name. It'll display the contents onto the console. You can see whatever is there in the file, it is being displayed here. Okay. Now say if I want to copy this file, I go with the command like copy test1 test2.txt. You can see that another copy has been created. Now if I say I want to rename this file test2 or test1, let's say test1, I want to rename um, to simply test.txt. Can do that. See, the file has been changed. So likewise, there are these commands that we can go through. Okay, this is the cat command. This removing or deleting a file, removing a directory, and so on and so forth, like copying a file. Okay. the file permission we just talked about, right? So it is all here. So read, write, execute. This is how we change the file permissions. Okay, let me go through a document I have, Linux basic commands. Okay. I wanted to show this exercise once we create the Google Cloud account, but since that account is not created, so let's try with this exercise of creating a user in a virtual machine. Probably the commands might slightly change in Ubuntu. Let me see if that works in Ubuntu as well. So let me clear this. So any questions till this point? Please feel free to pause me anytime if you want more details. Um, any questions in general, or yeah, just let me know. So it's not a one-way session. So I would encourage you guys to interact and ask me any questions so that um, I would know, like, if there is any additional explanation that I need to provide, or you guys have understood something, or you want more information, so that it will help me to explain better. Please feel free to ask, stop me anytime, ask question. That's all fine.
Okay, no questions on this topic, Mirish.
Okay, I think you might have
I'm good.
worked. Yeah, because you're saying something.
No, I'm good, sir.
Okay, all right. So let's continue with the create exercise here. That is creating a user. Uh, I guess user add works here. Let me see. DevOps demo. Okay, it needs a user permission. Let me go with a sudo. Sudo, when we type in sudo, or let's say, for example, I want to get a manual. I want to know what that command is doing. I can simply go with man and go with the command name, right? So it'll give me the details about what that command is doing, what is the name of the command, the description, what it does. So anytime in doubt, just go and type in man and give the command name. So it'll give you the details of what that command is doing, and some examples also, like how you can use it and what are the options you can pass here. Also, it provides like that. Okay, now the sudo command is just like you're a normal user, and for certain commands, you want to elevate yourself as a admin and run that command. So at that point of time, you are using this command sudo, and you're elevating yourself as a super user, as an admin user, to run that particular command. Only for that particular command, you are elevated as a super user. Okay, so let me quit this and type in a sudo command. Now, for user add is one of the command. I'm going to create a user now. DevOps demo. Okay, the user has been created. Now, next step is we need to go with sudo password for this user. Okay, so enter a new Unix password. I will retype it again. Okay, so the password has been updated successfully. All right, so we can go and check that there is if I go with the cat command /etc shadow, this is one of the file. This might not have the access, so I go with the sudo command. So the very last, you can see this is a user, that we created, DevOps demo, and this is the password in the encrypted format. It will be encrypted in SHA-512 algorithm or SHA-256 based on the default algorithm they've used here. So this is how it is encrypted, and you can see the user that we just created here. Okay, Ubuntu was the other user we had, and DevOps demo is just now we have created. And you can see root is the user here, and other based on other applications, these are the different users that are created here. Network, system D, APT, message bus, right? This is the default user they are created. This is the one we have just created here. Okay. Now, how do I switch to this user? There is a command called as, let me first go with adding this user with the sudo access, so that whenever I run a command, this user will should be able to install anything or do things like that. Okay, so we have to go with one of the files. Okay, so here I go to this particular option here. It says allow members or group sudo to execute any command. Okay, so I'll add the user under this category. Okay. That's it. So I've added this. Now let's go and save this file. It is slightly different here. You can see this is a nano editor. Okay, in Ubuntu, usually the default editor is nano editor, but you can even use the Vim editor based on your preference. But here it is opened in a nano editor. So let me save this file now. It is asking whether I'll change or the changes needs to be saved. I'll go with the option 5. Okay, the file has been changed now. Okay, now let's switch to that particular user. There's an option like ID and say DevOps demo. It will now show that this is the user ID for the user we created. The ID is provided, the group ID it has been provided here. Okay. So now let's switch the user with the command switch user. Okay. You can see that I have been changed to this DevOps demo user here. So you'll have your own folder structure. Basically, there are options when you are creating the user. You can pass in some parameters, wherein the home directory sometimes it is you need to pass explicitly a parameter saying that create a home directory. Otherwise, you can see that the home directory is not created here. Okay, so that we need to make sure if you want to. It's slightly different when you're using Ubuntu and CentOS. CentOS default it has, if you create a user ad, it automatically creates a folder structure based on uh, the skeleton details that is provided with the user ad. But here it has not created. That's okay. So the user we are logged in here is now DevOps demo. Okay. So any question on this one?
No.
right? Let me see. So we given the elevated access, file permissions, cat command we have looked at, and what is the grep command is there? Okay. So grep command is again if you want to search for a pattern in a file, because imagine that you are on a command line and you don't have an option to go with the find, right? I want to see like what is a grep. Okay, you can find it here easily. But on a command line, we have to go with the command like let's say grep. I want to go with C DevOps demo, but let me run it as a sudo first and run etc shadow file. It is asking for the password. You can see that um, I have just want to go with this um, within the entire file. I want to search with this pattern like DevOps demo, and it is only displaying that result on the console. Okay, so I can just go and say instead of this, I can type in Ubuntu. Okay, so it will give me the details about that onto the screen. So you can even try with options like if you don't know the user, you can just start and you and say star. How this works, let's see. It will give all the list there. Okay, starting with you and everything, it'll give all the list there. Okay, so you can try the combinations here in the search pattern, and accordingly, if you want to search something in a file, you can go with that options there. So grep command, just remember that grep command is used to search for a pattern within a file. Okay. Similarly, we have got a find command. Let's say I want to find a file in the directory. I go with the find command, and then I give the path where I want to find. This is the root directory. I'm finding the file starting from like how C colon we provide from C directory. I want to find the file. So this is the path from where I have to find, and the name of the file. Let's say this is the file name. Let's try this command. Find. I want to find it on the root. Okay, what is the name of the file? So let me see, this name of the file is, let's say, test.txt. So permission is denied. Let me clear this and go and run the command again. You can see that it has found the file in this particular path. So this also might be useful sometimes. You know the file name, but you don't know where exactly and which path it is residing. Then you can go with the find command to find where that file is available. Okay. And there are certain commands like you want to check what is the network status, which port is open, and things like that. There's a command called as netstat, which will give you the list of all the TCP, UDP ports that are open on this server. So let me go and type in that command as netstat. You can see right now the TCP port 22 is open. That's listening on this port. Okay. Okay. And there is a command like ps if you want to check the process, or if you want to just go with the top command, it will display all the processes that are running on this machine. like just like how you go to the task manager in Windows, right? You see all the process running for that application. Similarly, we have command like top command, which will display which is a user, what is the process ID, what is the virtual memory used, shared memory, what is the CPU memory usage, and what is the command is being run there. Okay, so if you want to watch it and say you want to kill any of these process, you go with the command called as kill and give the process ID, it will kill the process. Okay, so I can go with the option like okay. So we've seen a lot of commands. I would say that you just go and practice them. Refer to this document that I'll be providing. So it has got all the options here. Let's say I want to check the disk usage. I can go with the file with the df command. So this will give the disk usage. Currently, it will display all the file formats and how much has been used. I can even go with the disk usage -h. So it will give in a human readable format, like how much MB and how much GB it is. So we have taken 20 GB drive, right? So that's where it is saying 19 GB here, 20 GB we have selected. So the details, you can see all the temp fs, loop files are all being displayed here. There's a command called as OMI, which will say who is the user that is logged in. So this is a user, I'm logged in here. So I would recommend that you go and practice out these commands. At least just get to know what are these commands, and you will be requiring them in our day-to-day activities whenever you start working there. So I would suggest that you please go ahead and have a look at these commands and practice them, so that at least you should be able to get in the basic commands that we talked about: copying a file, viewing the files, creating the files, editing the file, and how to check the process details, how to kill a process, and on the networking, which ports are open, and things like that. All right. Any questions?
No.
So you guys are following. Is it it's completely new, I guess. What I think you Pushpa, you might have used sometimes this Linux servers. Are you familiar with any of these commands you used
Yes,
earlier? Or,
yes,
okay.
I'm familiar with the commands.
All right, all right. I think because it's completely new, I guess, for you. Maybe you need to create an account and start practicing if it's very new for you, maybe. Because you have any questions in general, please feel free to ask. Like, if you have anything, let me know.
Not right now. Once I mean, I want to see the class again, then for sure I
Uh-huh.
might. Because I'm not that too fast graspy. I'll be listening everything, The second
Okay, okay.
time I'll make it done.
All right, all right. Yeah, do please, if you make a note of any question or anything you find while going through the recording, if you feel that any information you need, just feel free to ask in the next class or let me know that. All right. Okay. Okay, thank you. So I think it's better in the interest of time. I think since initially we are just trying to get on with the things and understand, let's keep the class for like say 45 minutes, 50 minutes as we gradually understand things and we can go a little more faster. So I don't want to bombard with a lot of information at the here. Um, let me know if we can continue. I want to take, if you want to continue, I can take the networking class, or maybe we'll have to meet on Monday then. Let me know your options.
Let's go ahead with networking, my opinion. Then
All right.
we'll shift to that because half this and half the other students will mix up again.
Okay. All right. So let's continue then with the networking part. I'll pull out the presentation, Linux.
Sorry, Godavari, could you believe?
Okay. So we have so far looked at basic understanding of what is a Linux looks like, what are the how is the architecture of Linux, shell, kernel. We even gone and created a virtual machine in Google Cloud, and we connected to that machine and typed in some commands. Now, another important aspect that we need to understand as a DevOps engineer is the networking part. So it is very integral and essential part that we need to understand. Have a basic understanding of networking so that it will help us troubleshoot issues. Sometimes, most of the times, the issues are related to networking or some server is down or things like that. So at least we should be able to identify the issue and maybe you might not have the access to fix the issue, but you can at least recognize and pass it to the respective teams who can take action on those things. Okay, so let's try to understand what networking means in part of Linux. Let me start this slideshow. Okay. As part of this, we have looked at the general commands that we use day-to-day activities. We'll come to the administrative commands later on and networking commands as we progress. So in general terms, how we define networking. Okay. So nowadays, everything is connected. The whole world is connected via this networking, or anybody who wants to talk to anybody. It's possible now because of this networking part. And these are all the examples that we can see here. So basically, when we say networking, how we define that is it's a collection of systems which may be like for example, it might consist of a desktop or a laptop, tablet, mobile, anything, and they are connected by means of a hardwired or a wireless mechanism, or the Wi-Fi, what we call it as, right? The hardware devices that we are aware of are routers or the switches that we have on our machine. Like you have a LAN connection, then you need to have a router through which you can you plug in your network cable, and then you will be able to get the internet connectivity. And you can start using that internet, and you can be available online and be connected with the outside world. Okay, so it comprises what this network network and Linux networking, or what does it comprises of, is a system's nodes which are interconnected. Okay. All right. So let's try to decode this information over here. Like when you have a look at one of the IP address, this is one of the example, like um, 192.168.1.5. Okay, this is the IP address, and there's something called a subnet mask. Now the subnet mask, what it means. So we'll have a look at it. Let's take one example, and we'll try to explain what is a subnet mask is all about. Okay. Let me go to the notepad. Take one example here. So when I type in a IP address, something randomly like here 168.1.5. Okay. Now behind the scenes, there is a subnet mask. When I say subnet mask, see there are, so right now we have a IP address 4, correct? And there are limited IP addresses that are possible with the IP 4. Okay. And that's the reason why we have gone to the IP6. So this uses 128 bits, and this uses how much? 830. So this uses 32 bits. Okay. Now these are getting exhausted, and that's the reason why IP6 came into picture with 128 bits of information. Okay. Now when we say bits, little bit of, we'll go back to the basics where ones and zeros. So each of this is broken down into 8 bits. Okay, so each of this, you can break it down into 8 bits. Okay, so in total you'll be getting like 32 bits of information. Okay, so again bits, again it goes with again ones and zeros. So maximum value possible is 255, right? So you start with 0 and you go with 0 1 and 1 1, like so on and so forth, like 1 0. Okay, so you keep on adding the information, and up to 8 bits you can go with this one. Okay, 8 bits is like this is the value, this is the last value. Like if you go on like this, so this is the last value possible. So this value represents 255, basically 256, right? 256. And possible, how many combinations are possible? It is 2 to the power 8. 2 to the power 8. So this 8 bits, how do you represent it? So 2 to the power 8. So we'll give you 256 bits. Those 256 possible combinations, right? So in total we have 32 bits in the IP address, and there is something called a subnet mask. Now what that mask does is it will be masking your IP address and giving you a range from that. So I'll just put it in this format and say 0 here. Okay, the last bit I am saying all this is fixed up to here, the IP address, and the last bit is can change. So this is the subnet mask. This is what we call as a subnet mask. Okay, and this 0, it can go up. Sorry. Excuse me, 1 minute. Let's say I apply the subnet mask to the IP address I have here. Okay, Now, the reason why we are applying this subnet mask is to understand what is a possible combination of IP addresses within that particular network. Okay, so with this combination, with this subnet mask, I can say that the IP range is 198.168.1.0, and finally I'm going to change it as 24. So out of 32 bits, only the last 8 bits are changing. Okay, so I can represent this particular subnet mask in this format, and what this means is 198.168.1.0. Okay, and the IP addresses can keep on in this format, going in this format, and you can notice that these three is fixed and only the last bit is changing. 198.168.1.2, and you can keep on going like this, and the final value will be 198.168.1.255, right? And this possible combination of IP addresses is all possible because of the subnet mask that we are using. So we are saying these three is fixed, only the last part of the IP address is going to change, and this, the way we represent that is called as, in this format, it is called as CIDR notation. It's called as CIDR notation. In the CIDR notation, we'll represent it, and based on that we can evaluate how many possible IP addresses are available. Is it making sense? Any question here on this CIDR notation and how we get the possible combination of IP addresses? What is a subnet mask?
No.
You are able to get the concept? So let's say I make it as, instead of in the CIDR notation, okay, I make it as, can you tell me what is the range here now? 68.1.0. Let's say 28. Okay, so what is the IP range for this CIDR notation? Any guesses? Or how do you calculate usually? If I want to get the IP range, how did you know that it is 256 here? Any calculation you've done, or wild guess, or how did you understand that it is having 256 connections or IP addresses possible? Vikas or Pushpa, any? You told that you understood that concept, right? Like 24. Can you explain, or you just randomly guessed it? Let's say 256 connections are possible, or what?
I mean, if the maximum bits are 256, then on one, that's how I guessed it. I mean, that's how I guess.
Okay. And what about, yeah, this part, that's not correct, because maybe I'll just explain that in a moment. What about Pushpa? You understood any like, how did you say it's 256 bit? Did any calculation there? Or what was your thought process there?
It's not any calculations, but
Uh-huh.
I know that the
Okay.
standard thing is that. It's not
Okay,
with the
the standard.
calculation part.
Okay, the standard thing is like that. Okay, so let me tell you how that is being done. So whenever you look at this last bit here, right? So in total there are 32 bits. Okay, and when I say 24, it means that the 24 bits are not changing. Okay, now how much is remain out of 32? 24 is this much is not changing, and what is changing is the last 8 bits. Okay, and you calculate it based on 2 to the power of 8. If you go, you will be getting a value of 256. Okay, so that means 256 possible combinations are there with this IP notation. Okay, with this IP notation, same formula you apply, 2 to the power of, now let's say 28 bits are not changing out of 32. Now only 4 bits are changing. Now go with the power 2 to the power 4. It'll give you how much? 16. It's correct. 32. Just go with 2 into 2 into 2 into 2. It's making sense there. Like say how you do that is 2 multiplied by 2. 2 to the power 4 is like you just multiply 2 4 times and you get to that value there. So with this notation, what it means is possibly there are 16 IP addresses that we can go with. Okay, so this is very useful and very important. Like whenever you go with the AWS part, let's switch to the AWS part and try to understand that quickly. Go to AWS. You can see that. Let me go to the networking part here. So this is the default VPC is there, right? Let me click on the default VPC. This will give the rules and the destination options here, tags. There is one more option. Let me find that, instances. Can see here, right? So this is a CIDR notation here. Okay. So this subnet, when we call VPC, is a virtual private cloud. So it will be a bigger network. Out of the bigger network, we can create small networks like subnets, and we can provide the CIDR notation like this. Okay. So it is very important that we understand this because based on this, we'll come to know how many IP addresses are possible. Right, so here it is written as 20. Now can you at least based on what we have learned till this point, how many, just tell me like how many bits can change here in this format?
It's the same 4 bits, I believe.
Sorry, you're not audible. Can you be a little loud, please?
I'll type.
I'm not able to hear you, like you're saying something. How many bits can change here? See, what this notation
I,
is telling
I
is,
have some issues with my mind. I typed in.
okay, you have typed in the chat window there. Okay, I can hear you now. You can just let me see if you typed what is there in the chat window. Okay, what was the, what did you type? How many bits can change here? So with this notation, what we're trying to understand, what this 20 means is 20 bits are fixed, and remaining out of 32, if you take out 20 that are fixed, remaining would be the bits that can change,
12.
12. Okay. And based on that, if you go with 2 to the power 12, the possible IP range or the IP addresses is 4090. It'll be like 4094 or something, but some will be
Yeah.
provided to the gateway, and broadcasting we'll be having a couple of IP addresses that will be left out. But finally, this is the range we get it. Okay, so this this is very important. Like whenever we go with the networking part, so this is we need to understand here. Okay, so usually what happens is we will be creating a virtual private network, a VPC, which is a bigger range. Let's take a random number like 165.1.0, and we will be giving a CIDR notation as 16. Okay, this is a CIDR notation. Right. So this is a bigger. Now, possibly how many IP addresses are there here?
It's the power
Simple, like 2 to the
16
power
again.
16. All right. So that will be coming roughly around 65,356 or something like that, right? Now, I
Yeah.
want to create subnets based out of this network. So how do I do that? 198.165.1.0 slash, I can go with 24. Okay. So this is my bigger network, which is having a combination of like 65,365 or 535, something like that. Here, roughly, I'm just saying. Now, this would be a subnet, which is part of this bigger network. And this will just have, like, say, 256 connections, IP addresses, or just to be specific, 256 IPs are possible here. So likewise, you can create many subnets, 165.1.1/24. Okay, this maybe I can make it as 0, and this I can make it as 1.0. Okay, so this will be another. So this here, what will happen is this much is fixed. Only the last bit would change. And here, what would happen is this up to here it is fixed, and the last bit would change. Make sense here?
Yeah.
Similarly, you can go on making like 165.2.0/24. So likewise, you can go on creating the subnets and assigning to your instances or the virtual machines that you go on creating. Okay, so this is a very important concept. Like this is the bigger network, VPC, and you are creating the subnets in this format. Makes sense?
Okay.
You're able to get the concept here?
Yeah, I got that now in a better
Yeah, you
way.
got it, right? Okay, yeah. So that's how, like, when you go with AWS or any cloud account, usually when you go with the next advanced courses there, right? Or basically you want to create an infrastructure as a code, right? So you have an option like in AWS, we have cloud formation templates, or in general, the popular tool that we have is Terraform. Okay, there you need to provide manually, you need to provide the VPC details, subnet details, and everything you have to manually provide it there. Here the tool is doing it for us. Here you don't have to worry what is the subnet, and VPC is also created for you and subnet is being created. But that doesn't happen there. You need to know this concept and provide the, okay, this will be my VPC, and from this VPC I'm creating these subnets for my application. Okay, you decide and you provide the subnet details there, okay, as a input in that file, in that code that we are creating. So we will be providing all these details. So the understanding of this concept is very important there. Okay, so if you just have any questions, just go back, think over it, and try to consume this concept. If you have any questions, we can come back to it later on. Okay, so that's how it's being represented here. This is IP address, this is the mask, subnet mask. Now the same thing, we call it as a subnet mask. The subnet mask here is 255.255.255.0. This is the same what we call as a subnet mask. Just a mask. What the same thing here, it is represented in a CIDR notation. If you want to represent in a mask format, we put it in this format. What this tells is all these bits up to here are fixed, only the last bit is changing. Okay, so that's how the subnet mask you represent it. So you can see that this is all ones, 255, 255, 255, and last is a 60 here. And based on this, the range will go from 0 to 255. Okay, so that's how you can identify whether an IP address belongs to this range or not. Now this IP address here is having the value at the end as 5. That is obviously within this range. It's from 0 to 255. That means this IP address is part of this network. Make sense?
Yes.
Right. So whenever we have a look at any of the IP address, we'll be able to easily recognize whether it is part of the subnet or not. Okay, so if I write, let's say, let's do this exercise. I'll write one IP address. Tell me whether it is part of this network or not. Okay, .0, .25. Whether it is part of this subnet, this IP address.
No. Oh, it's 256 IP, yeah.
256 IPs are possible, and what is going to change here? Up to here it is going to be fixed, and the last 8 bits is going to change, right? So this
Okay.
can go right way from 0 to 255. Okay, so then
Yes.
definitely this is part of my subnet. Okay, so if I just write it in this format, 198.165.1.25. now is it part of this subnet?
No.
Okay, how did you come to know? Because this one has changed,
Third value.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that means when we say 24, only the last 8 bits will change. So just looking at this IP address, no, this is not part of this network, because only the 8 bits can change, and here this bit is changed, and definitely this is not part of this subnet, but instead it is part of this subnet. Do you agree?
Yes.
Right, so likewise we'll be able to identify whether an IP address is part of a subnet and how many possible combinations possibilities can happen based on the CIDR notation there. Okay, I think it's the logical stop here. We will stop it here with this okay, I think there is little more about the IP address, what the IP address is all about. So this will continue in the next class. So logically, we will have a break here, and we'll continue on Monday going with that. So just go back and try to understand and just go through the recording again. And if you have any questions, we'll come back to that. Okay.
You said on Monday?
Yes, I'm actually I'm attending a function, so I'll be off
Okay.
from tomorrow. I'll be back probably on Saturday or Sunday. So we'll continue on Monday. So Monday would be your Monday IST here would be your Sunday evening, I guess, right? Is
Okay.
it okay with that?
Yes.
Sunday evening?
Yes.
Sunday
Yes, yes.
evening. I
Little
don't
difficult.
think. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
my schedule is a bit not okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, right. So then, okay, so we'll go with your Monday evening then. So that is Tuesday for me. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm
I have
sorry,
forwarded.
but
Yeah.
my schedule always six days before itself. I can't change it any. That's
Yeah,
the problem for me.
that's absolutely fine. Just in case if there was any possibility, we would have connected. But yeah, so we'll go with Tuesday. And just to go with this recordings and create the virtual machines and try to practice the commands and understand the networking part. I think that should be enough for the couple of days that off we are getting here. And we'll continue with more on networking part, and also on the Google Cloud also we'll go and create a virtual machine, and we'll get started with learning some shell scripting in the next coming session. Okay.
Okay.
Dinesh,
Yeah.
I actually gave a personal message on chat. Can you please check that?
After this session, okay. I guess yeah, I can review the resume. Probably you need to share it with Bhumesh or Balu, who will forward it to me, and I can have a look at it, and I'll review it, and I'll provide my comments to.
Okay.
I'll draft it. I'll edit it, and maybe if anything needed, I'll add it as a comment, and we can have a review on one of the days, like when we connect the next week. Then, okay.
Okay. And the record classes.
Recording. I will ask Bhumesh or Balu to forward this recordings immediately so that you can have a look at it and practice on those things. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And regarding the DevOps schedule, I have sent it to Balu. I guess you guys have received it by any chance?
Yeah.
We got it.
Okay, yeah. So that is the schedule we have planned. So this time we are including Kubernetes and Terraform as well, because that's the hot topics in the market right now. So you should be aware of what Kubernetes is all about and how to use Terraform as well. So that's a bonus topic I'm just putting there, just for your guys' understanding, and it'll add to your resume as well that you have an understanding of Terraform and Kubernetes clustering and things like that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for joining, and we will talk on Tuesday, same time IST. Okay. Have a good evening and a good off time. All right. Thanks. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.